immediately. A short kick trying to surprise Cleveland, but alertly able to grab a hold of it. Abram Elam, and just like that, Brady Quinn and company get the ball at midfield on their opening possession.
Well, they obviously saw something that thought Elam was going to come screaming out of there, but he played it beautifully. Wait till the ball is kicked. Gave him Cleveland great field position.
Well, and if you're Brady Quinn, all of a sudden you're saying, now that's where to get us started. Just the third start for the #1 pick out of Notre Dame 2 years ago. Quinn, 24 years old, and he's a native Buckeye. He's from Columbus. They're going to hand it off to Jamal Lewis. Slips off the left side into Minnesota territory, close to the 45-yard line. Let's go back to the opening kickoff.
Well, you can see here, right here, they were expecting Cleveland to go bailing out of there. They must have seen something in the preseason tape, but he played it just like your coach. You wait till the ball comes off the foot of the kicker before you turn and get down the field.
Ball at a gain of 6 on first down for Jamal Lewis. His first 2 years as a Brown has been a 1,000-yard rusher. Quinn, his first throw, looking for Braylon Edwards and couldn't find him. 3rd and 4. Offensively, the rest of the Cleveland Browns today.
Well, for the Cleveland Browns, they're starting their first-round draft choice, center Alex Mack out of California. He's going to be tested with those 2 big Williamses inside from Minnesota, Pro Bowlers Kevin and Pat Williams.
A 3rd down and 4 for Brady Quinn. There you get a look at the #1 pick. And out of the Wildcat, this is Joshua Cribbs, and he has a first down.
Well, it's mandatory now in the league. I guess everybody's got to have some form of the Wildcat, certainly on 3rd down, the ability to use it. All the Wildcat means is you have Josh Cribbs, a wide receiver, in the backfield. He's going to fake it. He's going to keep it. The key becomes now, can he actually throw from this formation as well?
Cribbs 23 times lined up in the Wildcat formation last year. Made his name as a return man and has worked his way to the #2 receiver in their offense behind Edwards. And on first down, Quinn under pressure, lets it fly. Caught by Royal, the tight end, down to the 22.
Looked like there was a breakdown for Brady Quinn in the offensive line. Looked like he got flushed to the outside before he was ready. Showed great poise on getting outside the perimeter of the defense, and with a guy bearing down on him, nice high catchable ball to his big tight end, Royal Roberts, who joined them this year, coming to them from Buffalo.
Of course, that was brought on by the trade of Kellen Winslow Jr. to Tampa Bay. Empty backfield. Quinn from the shotgun after the 18-yard gain. Looked for Royal again, and he was covered by Chad Greenway step for step. Defensively for Minnesota, the #1 rush defense 3 consecutive years in the NFL. That has not been done since the merger in 1970 by anybody. They have a healthy E.J. Henderson in the middle.
And getting him back was huge. All the players and the coaches talked about getting E.J. Henderson back into this lineup.
Hand off to the rookie Davis. And not much running room there. James Davis, a 6th-round pick out of Clemson, the 2nd all-time leading rusher in Clemson Tigers history. We talked about that rush defense, as stingy as it comes.
That's hard to do year after year. It begins with the 2 Williamses inside, but it also has to do with the secondary on the back end. Defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier's done a great job of making this one of the more physical groups in the NFL.
7th play of the drive, and the biggest one so far, 3rd down at the 20. Quinn, the pitch to Davis, and that did not fool Henderson. Played it beautifully. So after working on a short field following the opening kickoff, They march down to the 20, and the drive stalls from there.
Well, this is a nice, safe call. Little shuffle pass underneath to the running back. Low percentage in terms of risk. If it's incomplete, it's not a fumble. Don't know that I wouldn't have tried to put the ball in Brady Quinn's hand. To come away with 3 points here is great, but I think points are going to be a premium against this great Minnesota defense.
37-yard field goal try, and it is good from Phil Dawson. So 3-0 after the short kickoff by Minnesota. 8 plays, 31 yards, and a 3-0 lead on the 37-yard field goal by Phil Dawson. Percy Harvin, the electrifying rookie out of the University of Florida, touches the ball for the first time in his NFL career. And he's all the way out to the 31-yard line. Well, well, well. We have a thing or two to talk about today. 39-year-old Brett Favre from Kiln, Mississippi. Drafted in the 2nd round in 1991 by Atlanta. Traded to Green Bay for the 19th pick in the 92 draft. Took over as a starter for the Packers the 4th game of that year. And has started as of today 270 consecutive games in the NFL, which ties Jim Marshall, the former Viking, for the all-time record. Today his first start as a Viking. And he'll give it to Adrian Peterson, who's tripped up by Eric Barton after a gain of 2. Peterson certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Led the NFL in rushing last year.
Yeah, but I'm going to be watching the inside. 2nd-year man John Sullivan replacing Matt Burke at center. He's got to go up against Big Daddy Sean Rogers. It's going to be interesting to see how this 2nd-year center holds this offensive line together.
And they have the rookie Phil Lodehold out of Oklahoma, also making his first NFL start. Favre pump fake. Peterson met at the line of scrimmage by David Bowens. This Cleveland defense last year, 28th against the run. They brought in 6 former Jets from a year ago.
Well, it's a familiarity with the system, but I'm anxious to see how new defensive coordinator Rob Ryan, brother of Jets new head coach Rex Ryan, uses number 95, Cameron Wembley. They need a lot from him from the outside edge. He needs to be a dominant pass rusher for them.
Brett Favre's first throw as a Minnesota Viking. Lays it off to Chester Taylor. And what an impressive start for the Cleveland defense.
Well, this is one of those stupid things we coaches say, but this can't be the way the Minnesota Vikings wanted to start. To watch the Cleveland Browns come out all but on a short field, go down the field to get 3 points. Minnesota trying to get in a rhythm. Brett Favre doing what Brett Favre does, scrambling around on a 3rd down. Just didn't happen to convert this time.
One of the most dangerous return men in the NFL is Joshua Cribbs. But nowhere to go there. Wow, did he take a lick. Browns in front 3-0, their 2nd possession of the game, and this one begins at their own 22-yard line for Brady Quinn. Three receivers to the left side, and they hand it off to the rookie James Davis, and he picks up maybe 2. Boy, Brett Favre, one thing that can never be taken away from him, retiring, unretiring, he loves to play football.
Well, right here, this is why Brett Favre came back. You can agree, not agree, thinks he should have retired, but you can't dispute the fact this guy loves the game. You can't get this anyplace else. He belongs back in the game. My perspective is simple. Make him run you out when you got passion like that for the game.
Boy, in our conversation with him yesterday, there is no denying he loves playing football. Quinn throws to Cribbs, read beautifully, and flags litter the field. After the stop was made by Antoine Winfield, returning to his hometown area, grew up just down the road in Akron, Ohio.
Illegal block in the back. Number 17, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
That's Braylon Edwards.
kind of a quick screen to the outside. The outside man, number 17, Braylon Edwards, is responsible for the first outside force, but he's lost leverage there. Now to come in, he didn't need that last little push with his hands at the end. Kind of a wasted penalty.
But already Winfield, I know you've had your eye on him for many, many years. What an outstanding quarterback he is.
I am amazed at how a corner can set the physical tempo for a team like the Minnesota Vikings.
Second and 16. This is Jamal Lewis. And he picks up a yard. Third and long for Quinn. Third and 14. They'll play it conservatively and hand it off to Davis. And coming up to make the hard hit, Benny Sapp.
Well, the thing you hear about, we talked a minute ago about Antoine Winfield and how physical a corner he is. The things the coaches will tell you that they love about Antoine Winfield is it makes the rest of the secondary step up to that kind of physicality. Everybody wants to match that kind of play, so now you've got an entire secondary that plays physical.
Darius Raynaud waiting on the punt that checks up and will be downed at the Cleveland 49. So Zastudil has put himself and his team in a tough spot with just a 32-yard punt. Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings get the football for the second time. They trail 3-0. And this drive starts at the Cleveland 49. Short drop, quick throw, and a catch is made down to the 43-yard line. They're expecting big things this season from Basante Shenko, the tight end. Last year with the Jets, they got off to the great start, 8-3 to be exact. And you see what Favre did in the first 8 games through 15 touchdowns. As the season went on, was bothered by his right throwing arm. Turns out he needed right biceps tendon surgery when all was said and done during the offseason. But he tried to play through the plane and had a very, very tough final month plus of the year. Adrian Peterson close to a first down, appears to be a yard short. Of course, you know, you go through the whole debate, and in many ways in the media by a lot of fans, especially those in Green Bay for obvious reasons, treating Favre almost like a pincushion. But the bottom line is he wanted to play football. He wanted to find out, was he healthy enough to play? And after he had the surgery, he still had the desire. And now he's with Minnesota after signing on August the 18th. They convert on third down, giving the ball to Adrian Peterson down to the 34-yard line.
Well, when you look at those numbers that we saw earlier, Tom, about Brett Favre and what happened in the second half of the season, that wasn't just Brett Favre. And everybody has said that. That team fell apart in the second half. I did Brett Favre's game against Arizona where he threw 6 touchdown passes. We were able to slam dunk him in the Hall of Fame that day.
He won't have any problems getting in there.
Back up.
First down throw. Favre looking around, flushed out of the pocket. Down he goes. Abram Elam blitzing from the free safety position, and that'll be a loss of 4.
Well, they bring a corner off the backside, or excuse me, a safety, Elam, from depth. They've got a hat on a hat, but Brett Favre's got nowhere to go. Gives them time now to collapse the pocket around Brett Favre.
Second down and 14. Peterson breaks it to the outside, cuts it back to the inside, and very close to a first down. Needed to get to the 23, and we'll check on the spot. He might be a half-yard short.
Well, this is the thing that Brett Favre's going to have to get used to on a 2nd and long after a broken play. You know what? When I got Adrian Peterson, it's okay to hand him the ball because I may find myself in a 3rd and 1 or a short yardage rather than having to force the ball down the field. This is exactly the type of game plan that Minnesota wants to be running right now.
5 carries, 24 yards for Peterson. 3 tight ends, and they hand it off to Dugan. And he has a first down inside the 20, down to the 19. They use Dugan as a tight end. They line him up in the backfield. Man, when they give this guy the football, generally it's on 3rd and short, and more times than not, he will deliver.
Well, they've got him and Jim Kleinsasser that are legitimate tight ends, but they put him in the backfield, and that's not a stretch now. They're legitimate fullbacks. They have a great deal of flexibility, Minnesota does, with their personnel groupings that will really stretch Rob Ryan's defensive schemes with the Cleveland Browns.
Fakes one way, great protection, drops it off to Chester Taylor. He lost the football but was able to cover it up to the 14-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5 on first down. With Chester Taylor, I mean, with all these weapons and all these great stars and perhaps future stars in this Minnesota offense, Taylor as dependable as they come, whether it be carrying the football or catching the football. He had 45 receptions a season ago.
Tom, yesterday when we talked to Darren Bevel, the offensive coordinator, did you see his eyes light up when we mentioned Chester Taylor? He loves this guy and all that he can bring to the offense.
Gonna hand it off, and that's Percy Harvin, his first carry in the NFL. And you talk about flexibility, versatility. Harvin, going back to his days at the University of Florida as a wide receiver, rushed for over 1,500 yards.
You're going to see this by Percy Harvin motioning into the backfield here. Obviously, to hand him the ball is something he's capable of doing, but you're going to see him do that all day, come out of the backfield as a receiver as well, and even stay in there and help on protection to a degree. Percy Harvin gives them a great deal of flexibility from that 3rd receiver slot receiver position.
1st and goal. And Adrian Peterson tries to stretch his way to the end zone. He's down. The ball made contact with the ground and downed inside the 1-yard line.
Well, head coach Brad Childress isn't real thrilled seeing these 2 balls pop out here. They've kind of dodged a bullet. Adrian Peterson, who has had some issues with turning the ball over. Obviously a great back, best back in the National Football League, but that can be negated with turnovers.
Peterson looking for room to cut it back. None there. Cameron Wembley, Eric Barton in pursuit. And that's a loss of 3. Call it 4.
Well, Cameron Wembley, yesterday Rob Ryan said that a big part of what Cameron Wembley has to do is to set that defensive edge. Does a great job of fighting upfield, making the running back cut back into the teeth of the defense. Right here now, 3rd and goal. This is what Brett Favre was brought in to do.
Misread all the way between quarterback and wide receiver Sidney Rice.
Well, and that can be attributed directly to the lack of familiarity of these two. He was expecting Sidney Rice. Sidney Rice was giving a hard nod to the outside. Brett Favre was expecting him to be to the back of the end zone quicker. He's selling the out. That's by design, but the timing just not what it needed to be down on the goal line.
So an 11-play drive comes to an end at the 3. And now it's Ryan Longwell from 21 yards away. And that ties the game at 3. A 3-3 game, Minnesota-Cleveland in the opening weekend of this 2009 NFL season. And Mr. Billick, a pleasure to be joined in the broadcast booth all season long, young man.
I'm looking forward to it, man. This is what better? I mean, life doesn't get better. Opening game of the NFL season. Great football town like Cleveland, these great Cleveland fans, and you better know it. Now, everybody talks about, and veterans telling the rookies, when it comes to the regular season, that energy level, you have no idea of what you're facing. Those young guys know now this is a whole nother level in the season opener.
Longwell bangs it. And 5 yards deep in the end zone. He's going to bring it out as Joshua Cribbs. And not a wise decision there, out to the 12-yard line. That will be the final play of this opening quarter. Certainly the score, for many, a surprise. We begin the second quarter in Cleveland, Ohio. The Vikings and the Browns are tied at 3. First and 10 for Quinn, who bobbles a snap. And lucky for him that Jamal Lewis was right there to snatch it away and prevent the turnover.
I'm a little interested in the amount of shotgun that Cleveland's running right now. One of the things when you play a defensive front like the Minnesota Vikings that can put so much pressure on you is you want the ball out of your hand quick. Throwing the ball on quick routes from the gun is hard to do. I'll be interested to see if they maintain that.
Going to look at Brady Quinn, 2 of 4 for 19 yards. Of course, they took advantage of that opening kick. The travel just 12 yards and trying to fool Cleveland. Catch made by Robert Royal, the tight end. And he's out to the 18-yard line, so certainly a more manageable third down now for Quinn and the Browns.
Nice job getting a good upfield rush by Jared Allen here. Gets isolated with the tight end who's just chipping a little bit. Jared Allen, one of the best in the business. Maybe getting Brady Quinn to get the ball out a little quicker than he wants, but still a nice job by Quinn getting them into a manageable down and distance now on third down.
Of course, the 14.5 sacks last year by Allen, his first season as a Viking after coming over from Kansas City. Third and 6 with Furry in motion. And down goes Quinn into the arms of Kevin Williams.
Just a nice stunt coming off from that left side. He's going to challenge it. They're going to bring themselves down in here. It looks like they're going to challenge from the inside, draw protection from the outside, or excuse me, on the outside. This guard did not come out far enough. He was expecting an inside stunt, something that Minnesota does a lot of, and Williams took advantage of it, but just overpowering to the inside.
And now Zastudil punts from his own end zone. Raynaud returned to punt in the preseason for a touchdown against Dallas. Slips one tackle, breaks it back to the inside and all the way down to the Cleveland 24-yard line. Darius Raynaud impressed Brad Childress enough to keep him on this team this season and turned loose their veteran wide receiver Bobby Wade.
And that's exactly why when you get down to that 45-man roster, nice job open field running by Raynaud. Your fourth and fifth receivers have to give you special teams presence. As good as Bobby Wade is, not necessarily going to be a factor in that regard. And now when you keep a guy like Bobby Wade, you're taking 10, 12 snaps a game away from your special teams.
48-yard punt, 36-yard return. Far pump fake one way, and Taylor out of the backfield makes the reception. Played nicely defensively by Abram Elam.
Let's go back to Chester Taylor. We talked about how offensive coordinator Darren Bevel lit up when we talked about Chester Taylor. When you can add him into the mix, obviously, with a Percy Harvin now, obviously you got Adrian Peterson. The flexibility that a Chester Taylor gives you on third down, base downs, he's a huge part of the optimism here with the Minnesota Vikings.
Fake it to Harvin. And this is Adrian Peterson. Inside the 5, down to the 3. Peterson has good hands, and he wants to be a back that you can depend on catching the ball out of the backfield with more frequency this year than his first 2 years.
And they've not used him in that way. This is just an extended handoff here. But this is exactly the thing. Imagine now Adrian Peterson gets the ball in his hands like an extended handoff outside the main box of the defense. That's just lethal.
Denied the end zone on first down carry, so it'll bring up second down and goal for Minnesota.
You know, and to build on that, Tom, I think that's going to be a big part of what Brett Favre is going to be able to do with the Minnesota Vikings, because how many times have we seen Brett Favre keep a play alive and all of a sudden just drop it off to a back that's standing there next to him? That back being Adrian Peterson now, that could be huge.
Tahi getting a rare carry there on first and goal. And he'll lead block for Peterson. Very close to the goal line, still no signal. Brett Favre's giving one. The officials confirm that. Touchdown for Adrian Peterson. He had 10 rushing touchdowns a season ago.
Oh, this is just mono goal line. I'm gonna push you harder than you push me. You know, people always wonder, why is it so late to signal? Clearly he's in the end zone. These officials run in, they check with each other from one side to the other. It's part of the procedure. It really is. I know I hear fans all the time screaming, it's a touchdown. How come you're not signaling? Because there's a process that they go through. I can't believe I'm defending an official.
I was getting ready to say, you were one of those guys, much like fans at home, that was screaming at officials, why aren't you signaling a touchdown? Early numbers on Adrian Peterson, who averaged 110 rushing yards per game last year and became the first Vikings running back ever to lead the National Football League in rushing. 1,760 yards. So many weapons in this Minnesota offense, now led by Brett Favre. Joshua Cribbs from the goal line, out across the 20, and the ball bounces out of bounds. They'll spot it at the 25-yard line. 11:02 to play until halftime. Minnesota with its first lead of the game. 10-3. Brady Quinn making his fourth NFL start today. And from the 25, he hands it to Jamal Lewis. That'll be a gain of a yard. For those who don't know, Mike Smith, the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He and Mr. Billick are married to sisters. Quinn, great protection. Vickers out of the backfield, breaks a tackle and has a first down to the 39. Lawrence Vickers in his fourth year out of Colorado and has started each of the last 3 years. That's a gain of 12. Well, Brian, we've talked so much, we've heard so much about Brett Favre, and we really enjoyed the conversation with him yesterday. He's very happy to be playing, and he really likes his team in Minnesota.
He does. But you can also recognize, you could tell in the tone of his voice, he understands the expectations, both of the organization, the fans. It's pervasive. And for the first time, Brett Favre is a guy that's always footloose, fancy-free, but he's accepted the challenge, but he's very, very aware of what those expectations are by the organization and the Minnesota Viking fans.
Well, there's some debate as to whether or not there is a challenge on this play.
Is challenging the previous play.
They are indeed challenging the play.
Well, we figured out what they're challenging. It could be huge. It looks like it's going to be a fumble. Vickers coming around the edge as he starts to go down. Now you can see right here, the ball comes out. It is out. The second part of the down by contact rule is it clear-cut possession by the Minnesota Vikings? That looks pretty clear-cut. I would be surprised if this isn't the Minnesota Vikings ball going inside Cleveland's territory. The ball was clearly out, Tom.
John Perry, our referee. Al Hines in the replay booth. And here comes Mr. Perry, whose father, Dave, is a legendary official at the collegiate level.
After reviewing the play, there was a fumble, however, no clear recovery. So by rule, Cleveland will retain the ball. 1st and 10. Minnesota is charged with their first team timeout.
Now, I don't understand that. The rule says that it's got to be a clear recovery. There was not a brown jersey. Here we go. We can roll through. Clearly, we saw that the ball was out. But now, once we let it go all the way through, guys, the ball is out. They're scrambling around for it. There's not another brown jersey in sight on the ground. I guess they decided, unless they have the visual proof that says that it's clearly Minnesota's ball, I guess the Cleveland Browns players jumped on just late enough. Now this is a challenge that was useless for Minnesota.
Steve Hayden, number 82, is the one who came in at the end of the play and perhaps may have recovered that fumble. Jamal Lewis into Minnesota territory, run out of bounds at the 46-yard line. That is a gain of 15 for a guy that back in 2003, when you were the head coach, ran for over 2,000 yards as a Baltimore Raven. And he is injured.
Jamal Lewis is a physically punishing type of back, but obviously that type of running style can take its toll here.
Well, we'll take a timeout while they take a look at Jamal on the sideline. Back in a moment. Jamal Lewis okay. Took a helmet-to-helmet hit over on the Minnesota sideline, but was able to get up and run across the field. He'll sit out this play in favor of the rookie James Davis. Quinn will throw on first down. And across the middle, it's caught by Steve Hayden.
Tom, I get people that ask me all the time, well, this is a helmet-to-helmet. How come it's not a penalty? The league right here, you can see a hard helmet-to-helmet. People get confused sometimes. He's a legitimate ball carrier. That's not a defenseless receiver. Believe me, with Jamal Lewis, that's far from defenseless position. Helmet-to-helmet is obviously, this is football. They're going to allow contact. It's on a player in a defenseless position, quarterback, receiver. That was not a defenseless player in a defenseless position.
And that's been extended this year, not only helmet-to-helmet, shoulder-to-helmet, forearm-to-helmet.
Absolutely, all in the effort to keep the player safe.
Lewis back in there, takes the pitch. And he has a first down to the 35-yard line. Cleveland beginning to run the ball effectively against this stout Minnesota run defense.
Tom, I'm impressed with Cleveland's commitment. Here you see Jamal Lewis and his patented baby steps, that constant. He's just buying time. He's waiting for just the right hole, then to burst through it. I'm impressed with Cleveland's commitment against this #1 rushing defense in the league. Their commitment to keeping balance and running the ball.
6 carries, 30 yards for Lewis. Quinn to throw again on first down. Has an eye on Braylon Edwards. And he caught it. Flag comes down. It's ruled a touchdown. Will this be against Cedric Griffin? So right now the signal on the field is touchdown.
Number 23 defense. That penalty's been declined. Result of the play. Touchdown.
So there you have it. Pass interference ruled against Griffin and Braylon Edwards, who had the disappointing 2008 after the monster 2007.
We're going to get a challenge here. Brad Childress saw that Braylon Edwards' feet took him out of bounds. He was not forced out. I believe we're going to get a challenge here, and this should come back Minnesota's way.
I guess the question would be, if you've committed pass interference, and in doing so you force a receiver out of bounds. We'll get back to that when we return.
Well, this is what they're looking at. Clearly, Braylon Edwards, you can see here, he's going to step out of bounds. Right there, you can see he's clearly out of bounds. The question becomes, was he pushed out of bounds, illegally pushed out of bounds, at which point it's going to put the ball right here on the 3-yard line. If they determine that he was not, that was not part of the pass interference, then clearly Braylon Edwards was out of bounds, an ineligible receiver. I believe they're going to say as part of the penalty of the illegal contact, or I should say the pass interference, that made him now a legal receiver.
Okay, but here it is. If indeed they deem that he forced him out of bounds, for those of you wondering at home, if the defender forced the receiver out of bounds, he is allowed to come back in bounds and catch the ball and be a legal receiver.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it looks like, given the timing of it and the fact that there was a pass interference called, they'll likely rule that for the Cleveland Browns. Kind of a dicey challenge by Brad Childress, certainly worthwhile because it's a big play down the field, but coupled with right here what they're clearly saying is pass interference, that would certainly constitute the illegal contact. They're saying there was contact, and that's what forced Braylon Edwards out of bounds.
You know, you wonder on another level, is this almost a lose-lose for Childress? I mean, the best thing that can happen to him out of this, really, when you stop and think about it, is pass interference, and Cleveland's going to get the ball at the 2 or 3 yard line. Yeah, that's the best thing that can happen.
Right. He's hoping that they see that as not being forced out of bounds. That's the only thing.
Now, we said earlier, the only way a player can become an eligible receiver again in bounds if he is shoved out of bounds by the defender in this case. He has to reestablish himself back in bounds.
So we've got to look at Braylon Edwards' feet here. Clearly he's out of bounds. Clearly there's contact. But does he reestablish himself as a receiver, which ought to be 1, 2? Yeah, I would say he's clearly back in.
Yeah.
He's reestablished himself in the field of play. Yeah, I think Brad Childress is out of luck here. There again, was it worth a shot? Maybe does something fall his way? You know, my opinion of replay is well documented. The only good thing now is I'm not going to get fined $75,000 by challenging and how we go about doing this. But in this instance, the good thing is they're going to try to get it right. But there's going to be, John Perry's going to have to do some explaining here. Less so the fact that we're in Cleveland, because if this is ruled in Cleveland's favor, he's got 80,000 new best friends right now.
Oh yeah.
Here we can see again clearly out of bounds, feet are out of bounds. Now he's coming back into the field of play. 1, 2. I don't know how that's not reestablished.
Well, again, when he put the second foot down, was at the same time that he was making the catch. So I guess what you could ask, yeah, clearly he had established himself with 1 foot, but you have to do it with 2 feet. So was the second foot established before he caught the ball?
We're about to find out.
After reviewing the play, the pass interference foul, which took the receiver out of bounds. The receiver did catch the ball. However, he did not reestablish back in bounds with 2 feet prior to making the catch. Therefore, the play is incomplete. The pass interference will be spotted at the 6-yard line, left hash. Minnesota is not charged with the timeout. Reset the game clock to 7:49.
Yeah, and clearly great job of the officials. We've covered a lot of ground here, but clearly he is forced out of bounds. But here they're saying there's 1 foot of, there's one. He did not catch the ball, just as you said, Tom. You did a nice job of isolating it, much better than I did. He didn't have that second foot back in bounds, reestablishing himself. Now those 80,000 friends, but I guess here we see now those 80,000 friends that he was about to have. John Perry's going to have to find someone who can take him to the airport, because no one in this stadium is going to do that. You can still see, though, this ball, because the pass interference puts it on the 6-yard line. Is it a worthy challenge? Well, sure. It takes a score off the board. So here we are, 1st and goal on the 6-yard line.
Turns out to be a 28-yard penalty. Beautiful job, though, by John Perry and the entire crew. Al Hines in the replay booth to bring all that together. There was certainly a lot happening and a lot in question on that call. Meanwhile, Jamal Lewis leaps his way down to the 3-yard line, and to really tie a ribbon around that package, just so you understand, we pointed it out, but down the road maybe you're watching another game. Both feet have to be established back in bounds before the catch or contact with a football can be made, in this case by Braylon Edwards.
And in this instance, replay was the only way you were really going to see that.
Out of the Wildcat, Joshua Cribbs takes a snap. He'll run. Spins his way inside the 1.
Now that's 2 shotgun snaps we've seen that have gotten a little dicey. I know that Eric Mangini's a little nervous about seeing those types of snaps. Obviously a team that when you're down on the goal line, you're willing to run that Wildcat down there. That shows some commitment to that style of play. I imagine we're going to see some more of it.
All righty, 3rd down and goal, a chance to tie it up
again.
Yep, here it is again. Quinn split wide left. Cribbs. What a tackle. What a play made there by big number 91, Ray Edwards.
And right now you can see the challenge by Brad Childress just saved his teams, assuming that this field goal is good, 4 points. You know, I'll make it real. I'm not a big Wildcat fan against good defenses. It usually doesn't work real well. I'm a little uncertain about putting the hands in the ball in someone else's hands other than your starting quarterback on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3 on the goal line.
So now Phil Dawson for the point after, and it is good. A touchdown denied for Braylon Edwards and the Browns. So Brett Favre and company, with under 6 minutes to play until halftime, will get it back with a 4-point lead. A lot of people thought this game was going to be ugly early. Nothing could be further from the truth thus far.
I'm impressed with the way the Cleveland Browns have responded emotionally to the challenges of the game, of Minnesota going down and scoring. This team is hanging toe-to-toe with the team that many people are picking as a Super Bowl elite team.
That ball hammered by Dawson. And Minnesota will start from the 20. All right. If you're just joining us, you're probably wondering, how's Brett Favre done? Well, he's hit on 5 out of 6. Total of 26 yards. The Vikings naturally have run it pretty well, although certainly not the way they ran it all of last year. And the Browns have run it better than many may have thought.
As I said, their commitment to continue to stay with the run against this top-rated Vikings run defense is impressive so far.
Favre's not really cut one loose down the field. There's a quick slant to Sidney Rice. And he's close to a first down. Appears to be about a half-yard short at the 29-yard line.
I'm not sure that was a called play. I think that's one of those with a break off on the backside, that anytime the quarterback wants to pull it out of the running back's hands, not hand it off and take a quick shot like that, that may have been just one of those Brett Favre being Brett Favre.
Peterson tries to break it to the outside. Coming up to make the play is Brandon McDonald. 3rd down upcoming. Well, Sanchez off to a good start in his NFL debut. Of course, Brett Favre was in New York last year, and after retiring decided to come for a 2nd straight year out of retirement and signed with Minnesota on August the 18th. And on 3rd down, Chester Taylor cannot get first down yardage. Again, that's Abram Elam.
That's the 2nd time we've seen defensive coordinator Rob Ryan bring Abram Elam off the edge here in a short yardage situation. Cuts down that edge, the one guy you can't account for in an 8-man front, preventing the Vikings from converting on 3rd down.
Chris Cluey the punt. And we'll see where they spot that. Here with 4:05 to go, Brady Quinn and the Browns are going to have excellent field position, starting this drive from their own 42-yard line. Both teams have been pretty conservative as far as the play calling is concerned, especially in the pass game. But Quinn efficient, 6 of 8, 43 yards, and this his 4th NFL start.
Well, Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, brought with Eric Mangini from the New York Jets, is committed to this type of balance, and so far he's been able to maintain it in this first half.
Short drop thrown behind Braylon Edwards.
Well, those are the kind of quick throws we talked about that we'd anticipated from the Cleveland Browns, and trying to minimize the pass rush, the great pass rush of Jared Allen coming off the backside along with Edwards. They're from Minnesota, but it's got to be a higher percentage than that. You can't miss a pass like that and maintain that kind of quick passing style.
2nd down and 10. Plane blown dead before it ever got started. Did they get it off in time? This maybe delay a game.
False start. Number 17. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Of course, for the Cleveland Browns, getting to the end zone has been a monumental task going back to last year. They did not score an offensive touchdown the last 6 games. Their last touchdown of last season came in the 4th quarter on the 17th of November in Buffalo on a 72-yard run by Jerome Harrison. Their last touchdown at home was in week 9 of last year.
And part of that issue down the stretch, they had 4 different quarterbacks: Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Ken Dorsey, Bruce Gradowski. It's hard to get that kind of continuity when you're rolling through quarterbacks like that. They obviously hope to have their guy now going forward, Brady Quinn, so they can get some type of continuity so that they don't extend that streak too far here in the regular season.
That last quartet you just mentioned did not throw a touchdown pass. Obviously, the last 6 games threw 13 interceptions. Third and 16. Quinn fakes one way and will carry it. And it's caught by Greenway out at the 47-yard line. So now Brett Favre in Minnesota will get the ball one more time leading up to halftime. And of course, they have the 2-minute warning to play with as well.
Well, and part of the downside to this, I'm going to be critical of the Browns here a little bit, and Eric Mangini. You have a couple priorities in this situation. Yeah, you want to go down and score, but the last thing you want to do is give the ball back to the Minnesota Vikings and one of the all-time great quarterbacks of all time, Brett Favre. So I'm sure this 3 and out was not exactly what Eric Mangini had in mind, even if it's just the amount of time you leave Brett Favre with to orchestrate a 2-minute drive.
Left-footed punter Zastadil. Raynaud. A fair catch at the 15-yard line. All right, you were just talking about the play calling a moment ago and giving Brett Favre a chance with 2:23. You have a 2-minute warning. You have 2 timeouts. They've really not opened things much up for Favre today because they have the great running game. We talked a lot about it. Here with 2:23 to play until halftime, you're going to cut it loose if you're the head man right now?
Well, you got Brett Favre. That's what you brought him in to do. You've got control of the game right now, all but with a 10-6 lead. We're going to find out right now, all but Brett Favre here now just 1 month into this offense. Are they going to let Brett Favre be Brett Favre, or do you go with the conservative route and let's get out of here with a 10-6 lead?
They're going to throw it, and it's dropped by Harvin.
Well, that's a nice, safe throw to get the ball in the hands of a playmaker like Percy Harvin. And right now you can see, I'm not sure he's not going, oh boy, I wish I had a more than just a month, because I would have put that in a much more catchable position for a great open field runner like Percy Harvin.
Harvin told us last night he has learned more from Brett Favre in less than 3.5 weeks than anybody he's ever played for. So the way he has gone about trying to help this rookie is almost beyond belief. Favre, pressure coming. Down he goes. Rodney Poole from the strong safety spot.
And now this should take us down to the 2-minute warning. Eric Mangini sensing that he could get good field position here. Fair's fair. I'm going to turn around and criticize Minnesota here a little bit now, because unless they make a 3rd down conversion here, they're going to have to punt the ball back and ostensibly give Cleveland an opportunity to be in field position here.
Brett Favre on 3rd down and 16 from his own 9-yard line. In trouble again. Takes a hit. Completes a pass to Taylor. Well short of the 1st down. And as Eric Mangini spent a timeout now, clock at 1:50, you have 3 timeouts remaining. He will.
Like this is a tough call. You don't want to put Cleveland on a short field. You know that a punt here, this is a good tough you know, Cameron Wembley, we talked about his ability to come off that edge. But now you're in a position where you've got to punt the ball, conceivably put Cleveland on a short field, and now we're going to see what kind of faith they have in Brady Quinn with 1:46 left.
We got a ball game here.
And I'm not sure, and us included, we got to throw ourselves in there, that many of us thought it was going to be a ball game. 10-6, you're darn right we've got a ball game.
Did you just throw me in front of the bus without me?
I did. No, both of us. I dragged you down with me. Let's put it that way.
Cribbs from the 33. And here he goes. To the 40. The 30. The 20. Touchdown, Cribbs. A 67-yard punt return for a touchdown. The 7th career touchdown return for Joshua Cribbs, which ties him with Eric Metcalf for the most in Browns history.
Well, this was the Achilles heel of Minnesota last year. They gave up 7 returns for a touchdown on punt or kickoff return, and it comes up and bites them on the backside here, because we're just talking about what is a good competitive game. We're now talking about the Cleveland Browns going in at halftime, conceivably ahead.
How about Joshua Cribbs? An undrafted rookie. He was a quarterback just down the road at Kent State University. He rushed and passed for over 1,000 yards in each of his last 2 years as a quarterback. Was converted to wide receiver when he joined the Browns and was able to make the team as an undrafted rookie. Became an All-Pro as a special teams player, and now is their number 2 wideout, but still doing it returning punts.
Absolutely. And what's impressive about Joshua Cribbs is obviously one of the great punt returners and kickoff returners, but the only guy in the NFL to lead his team in punt returns, kickoff returns, and special teams tackles. He is that's value on the 45-man roster, man, when you got all that kind of value in one guy. But again, to go back to Minnesota, this hurt Minnesota last year. The returns for touchdowns that hit them last year. And you know Brad Childress, he brought in Brian Murphy as a new special teams coordinator to get that kind of thing fixed.
The Minnesota in punt return touchdowns alone gave up 4 of those last year, and here they are in week 1 in 09. And Cribbs goes the distance to give Cleveland a 3-point lead. All right, 1:30 left now. Let's look ahead. Does Brad Childress say to Brett Favre, let's give it another go and try to get down the field?
Let's see how far out we can get this thing. If I'm backed up on my 20-yard line, I think they get out of here, lick their wounds a little bit, and regroup for halftime. If they can get it out to the 35, 40-yard line, let's turn Brett Favre loose.
Of course, Percy Harvin's capable of bringing one back the other way. Harvin, 3 yards deep, thought about it. And he's out across the 25. Wow, did he take a lick from Coy Francis.
Oh. Well, with a 1:25 or a 1:24, the first down play is going to tell us a lot about what they want to do here. If they're willing to throw it, then they're saying, here we go. Brett Favre is going to be off and running. If they run it, it's, you know what, discretion's the better part of valor here.
What would you do?
Yeah, you got to let Brett Favre go. Brad Childress talked about us the other day, how impressed he was. Brett Favre taking this offense down against a top-rated Minnesota defense, all but in practice. Let's see what they want to do here.
In the air and off the fingertips. And it'll bring up 2nd down and 10. He had an eye on Bernard Berrien, who he had very little time to work with after signing with Minnesota. Berrien missed the entire preseason with a hamstring injury.
And this is the kind of throw, as odd as it may sound, that requires a lot of timing. When, where do I throw it? Back shoulder down the field. Do I make it a jump ball? Every receiver catches the fade route just a little bit different. That's a direct function of the lack of their familiarity with one another. Brett Favre coming late to camp and Bernard Berrien being hurt.
2nd and 10. Favre fires to Rice, who steps out of bounds at the 35-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 2 for Minnesota. 1:14 to play, and the Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining.
You got a lot of latitude here now. Brett Favre will either call 2 plays in the huddle, particularly if the first is a run, so you can get right up to the line of scrimmage and take another shot. And at this down and distance, you can either run it or pass it. They've emptied it out, so unless they want to run a quarterback draw, this clearly is going to be a pass, unless they want to motion Chester Taylor back into the backfield for a run.
Taylor broke the other way under heavy pressure was Favre. He took a hit from Wembley. And now the Vikings are forced to punt it with 1:11 to go until halftime.
Well, that was clearly, I thought you were going to zig and you zag. Chester Taylor motion into the backfield, making an inside cut, just a little quick little angle route. And not, it looked like Brett, based on the way the corner or the safety was coming on Chester Taylor, thought he was going to break it out, not in.
Are they going to punt the ball to Joshua Cribbs again, or just punt it out of bounds? Very short kick. And now, I know we sound like a broken record, Eric Mangini, after getting the big punt return to take the lead, has 1:04 left. Great field position for his offense at the 39-yard line. Will he give Quinn the chance to get him at the very minimum into field goal range?
You've got to. If you think a 13-10 is going to hold up against this Minnesota talented offense, then sure, you can be conservative here. But this is great field position. You got 1:04, lots of time for a quarterback. This is what Brady Quinn's got to be able to do if the Cleveland Browns indeed are going to be viable this year.
Quinn so far has hit on 6 of 9 for 45 yards. And they're coming after him, and he just throws it away. Looked like they were trying to set up the screen to James Davis.
And they've changed. A couple years ago, they tried to change this rule that this would be grounding, that clearly has to hit a receiver, but they realized it was leaving the quarterback vulnerable, so he did a nice job of not getting outside the pocket, basically dirting it and saving a sack.
Quinn to Davis, who's at the 40. The clock is down to 53-52, still running. It brings up 3rd down for the Browns, and they'll try and hurry up to the line of scrimmage.
Leslie Frazier's bringing the heat now. He obviously has confidence in his corners matching up one-on-one. Can be a dangerous thing with a guy like Braylon Edwards out there. You can have a lot of confidence in your corners, but Braylon Edwards is capable of taking it to the house at any time. Brady Quinn trying to get him into something. Looks like a passive zone by Minnesota on this play. Going to make him throw, drop down underneath.
3rd down and 8. Quinn will just take a knee, basically. And that'll run out the clock of the opening half.
Well, guys, the big news coming out of the Minnesota locker room is Adrian Peterson getting an IV at halftime. Issues of hydration. We will see how that plays out in the second half. I have to tell you, that was a very quiet group coming out of there. I saw Eric Bieniemy, the running back coach, right before halftime, get up in the faces of all of his running backs. None too happy with their performance, basically sending the message that these guys need to man up and play a lot better in the second half. Brad Childress, his message, be more productive on 1st and 2nd down, then we don't have to force 3rd and long. Guys?
Carissa, thank you very much. You look at Peterson. In the first quarter, he carried it 7 times for 24 yards. In the second quarter, 2 carries for 1 yard. And obviously some dehydration issues. And this is the rookie Percy Harvin. He bounces it to the outside, across the 40, back to the inside, and brings it all the way back to the 45-yard line. A 41-yard return for the Florida Gator, Percy Harvin, who left at the end of his junior year.
Well, coming out of the draft, you felt like Percy Harvin, Jeremy Macklin, these were going to be the two receivers coming out because of what they added to the game in terms of special teams as well, that might have the biggest impact for their teams coming out as rookies.
Adrian Peterson is back on the field. On first down for Brett Favre, who hit on 8 of 12 in the first half. They're going to hand it to Peterson. Cuts it back to the inside. A good first down run, a gain of 5. Going to give it to Peterson on second down, and he has first down yardage to the Cleveland 44-yard line.
Well, head coach Eric Mangini brought Brad Seeley from the New England Patriots, longtime special teams coach with Bill Belichick. Mangini familiar with Brad Seeley, really one of the better special teams coaches in the league, and it's paying dividends so far.
This time Favre works out of the shotgun. And he hands it to Harvin. Tries to turn the corner. Breaks one tackle and then runs right through Brandon McDonald. And that'll be a gain of 11 on a rush by Percy Harvin, and another Vikings first down. The 6-time Pro Bowler Steve Hutchinson leading the charge.
Well, and Hutchinson and McKinney on that left side are obviously the strength of this offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings. McKinney obviously coming into the fruition, so to speak, of what was expected of him as a first-round draft choice in 2002.
Well, again, Peterson is on the sidelines, down on a knee.
Yes, sir.
And the play clock expired on Brett Favre.
Delay a game. Offense, number 4, 5-yard penalty. First down.
All right, let's go inside some of the numbers in the opening half. Anything jump out at you, Coach, in a 13-10 game?
As I said earlier when we came out of it, when the thing that jumps at me the most is not so much how productive the Browns have been in their rushing game, but the fact that they've stayed with it, that they're willing to commit to it against this very good rushing defense of the Minnesota Vikings.
Favre to throw on 1st and 15, and he's looking for Rice. He makes the catch. No. Apparently could not get 2 feet in bounds. Working on Brandon McDonald. Well, that's a nice throw there by Favre. And Rice, a big, tall, physical receiver at 6'4".
It is. This is a great job. Of course, this is the rule that was put in effect last year. Last year, had he made this catch with that little bit of a force out, they may have very well called that a force out, but it does not exist anymore. You've got to get both feet in bounds, period. And it looks like that left foot, I don't know. Brad Childress doesn't look like he's going to go challenge it. I'm not sure that left foot didn't find its way in bounds.
Favre hands it to Taylor, who again is spelling Peterson. Peterson continues to have major issues on that sideline. He just got off his feet.
Well, Brad
got back up on his feet.
Brad Childress yesterday talked about how none of these guys have taken 70 snaps yet, typical in a game, and that you expect that in the first game. Of course, the Vikings don't have a challenge left. And still, I'm up in the booth and I can't keep track of my challenges anymore. But you would have loved to have maybe pulled the challenge on that one, because it looked like that left foot might have landed in bounds.
Play clock down to 5. Favre telling everybody to be ready. Look at the play design for Shenko, and he just does get tripped up inside the 20, but that's a first down. Asante Shenko, a former New York Giant, who had a career-high 42 catches and 7 touchdowns a season ago.
Just a little tight, quick screen to the tight end. They see a screen. Defenses start to see a screen evolve. They tend to go real wide because most screens are wide. Tight end slipping back inside. Big conversion for Minnesota, putting them on the 20.
Right here. 319.
Saw that signal from Favre to Rice. And interference will be called this time on Brandon McDonald.
Same type of call we saw earlier. It drives defensive backs nuts.
Saw Favre at the line of scrimmage tap his helmet while looking at Rice. What was he saying?
Pass interference, defense number 22. Contact without playing the ball. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
Yeah, he was basically telling him, I don't care what we got on. Looked like it was a quick run play. You go fade. I like the matchup. I like you out here on the outside. Obviously, they see something, whether it's the size disparity between Rice and Wright. But he saw what he liked, and Brett Favre, again, this is what Brett Favre's here to do, to take advantage of that. Excuse me, McDonald, not Eric Wright.
Adrian Peterson back on the field, 1st and goal. That's a 16-yard pickup on the penalty. Peterson to the inside. And he's close to the 1-yard line. Gang tackled. Led by Corey Williams.
This is the test for the Minnesota Vikings. This is as a coach, and if you want to be a running team, a physical team, I mean, you'll take a score any way you can get it, but you'd love to push this thing in. I don't care how many plays you've run during training camp, whether obviously it's probably getting a little warm out there and you're tired. You'd love to run this thing in.
Ninth play of the drive, and they won't get it in on that. Hand off to Peterson. First man there stepping up is Eric Barton in his 11th season, now out of Maryland, one of those 6 New York Jets from a season ago, now getting lots of playing time on the Cleveland defense.
And you can see here the Cleveland defenders, everybody's selling out to the run. It's one of those, you're taking a guess. If you're thinking run and they run, you're going to stuff it. If they give you a little quick play action, all of a sudden that's when you see someone standing behind you holding the ball for a touchdown, because they were total sellout to stop the run there.
3rd and goal. Peterson this time is into the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. Nafahu Tahi leading the way from the fullback spot. And Peterson, for the 2nd time today, has a touchdown.
Again, this is just a tone setter. This is Brad Childress saying, you know what, we have got to punch this thing in. As we said, which way did they go? That left side behind Hutchinson and McKinney. If I'm going to put my money on the line, I'm going to do it against that Pro Bowl left side with Hutchinson and that 1st-round draft choice of Bryant McKinney.
Got to believe he's probably bleeding in his left arm there, Adrian Peterson. We talked about the fluids he was getting at halftime, and more than likely that's where he was getting it. Well, clearly Adrian Peterson, as we speculated, that's where they gave him those fluids at halftime that Carissa Thompson reported on. And apparently they haven't gotten that thing bottled up. A lot of blood coming out of that arm. Joshua Cribbs out to the 28-yard line. Minnesota in front, 17-13. 9:59 to play in the 3rd quarter. Trying to get that wound in the left arm of Adrian Peterson bandaged up, and bandaged up well. Ran in for the touchdown a moment ago, and lots of blood pouring out of that arm.
Somebody check in here. He said it could be a weak side run.
Just got it off. Play clock down to 1, and that's Jamal Lewis. And he bangs his way out to the 42-yard line.
Well, you saw the line over shift, the Minnesota defensive line over shift. Brady Quinn sounds like he checked at the line. Typically, you may kill a process that says an outside run to an inside run, a right side run to a left side run. Saw the overshifting in time and was able to get to that good weak side run.
Been a good day for Jamal Lewis. 9 carries, 46 yards. Lewis again, and pretty good yardage, real good yardage. That's a gain of 8 on a 1st down carry. But D.U. Williams coming up to trip up Lewis. Very valuable member of that Minnesota secondary. Benny Sapp limped off the field a moment ago. He won that nickelback position during training camp.
Looks like he may be cramping up as well. You got a lot of players. Don't know that for sure. The way that frustration looks like maybe a knee, but this again, The weather, first time, full-time game, 70 snaps, it's going to take its toll.
Quinn, a poor decision there. You could see it from the time it left his hand. And Cedric Griffin with just about as easy an interception as you're ever going to get.
Brady Quinn expected Braylon Edwards to be on the outside with that.
Welcome back to Cleveland, where Minnesota leads 17-13. I'm Carissa Thompson reporting from the sideline. A couple things. Adrian Peterson has a laceration on his left arm. It was from that IV. He's in good spirits. He's fine, drinking a lot of Gatorade, and will be okay. As for Benny Sapp, he was carted off the field and appeared to be in a ton of pain. He was hunched over. The cart came over. He slammed his right fist on the cart, but I'm being told from the Viking PR staff that it's just an illness. Appears to be more than that. Keep you updated.
Well, Carissa, we thank you very much. Carissa right on top of everything going on down on the sideline, including her reporting at halftime that Adrian Peterson needed some fluids. Was suffering from some dehydration. They gave him unquestionably the fluids in the left arm, and it looked like that area never got properly bandaged up, and thus lots of blood coming out after the touchdown, and they're back to work at it again.
That's old school, man. Just glue it. Just glue it shut and put the guy back in. I love it.
Gain of a yard on first down, 2nd and 9 for Brett Favre and the Vikings. And Favre to throw it. The tight end Shanko. About a yard short of a first down. We're expecting big things out of Asante Shanko. Very athletic. Came over from the Giants and had to learn an entirely new offensive system, and he gets more comfortable by the day.
Brett Favre loves having a good tight end. Remember his days in Green Bay with Mark Chmura. A big part of what Brett Favre likes to do is those drop-off passes to the tight end.
Third and a yard. Peterson has a first down. DeQuell Jackson, the Browns' leading tackler from a season ago, came up to stop him, but not before Peterson, it appears, had enough for a first down. Although this is not a very generous spot.
Well, let's see what they're doing. They're giving it to him, so it is a first down.
Got to give a lot of credit to that Browns rushing defense. They were brutal in that category a year ago, and they've kept Peterson pretty quiet. Down goes Favre again. Sean Rogers. Tell you, the pass protection has not been very good for Favre today.
Well, we talked about early the matchup of Sean Rogers. Sean Big Daddy Rogers. Here's the call.
Holding. Number 65. Offense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
And that's the matchup we talked about with second-year center John Sullivan, who replaced Matt Burke in the middle. Last year, Sean Rogers led the Browns with sacks. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. It shows that's great pressure from the inside, but when your inside nose tackle leads the team in sacks, you're not getting enough on the outside. He had 4.5 sacks last year, but that matchup against second-year center John Sullivan was something to keep an eye on and continue to keep an eye on.
The Browns on offense last year allowed 43 sacks of the quarterback. Loss of 8, 2nd down and 18, and Favre fires to a wide open Percy Harvin, and he has a first down all the way out to the 42-yard line. There was some zip on that throw from the 39-year-old native of Kiln, Mississippi.
And watch Percy Harvin here coming out of the slot. Boy, this shows you the awareness of the young kid. The ball's coming in. He knows someone could be coming in there to take his head off. To settle, look the ball in, and now be able to make that second move. That's the specialness of the Percy Harvin that I know Brett Favre's thrilled to have on his team.
Go!
But they convert the 2nd down and 18. And on first down, Adrian Peterson plows ahead close to midfield.
You got to love Percy Harvin yesterday. What did he do? He came in and he said he walks in and here Brett Favre, and Percy Harvin was what, 4 or 5 years old when Brett Favre comes into the league.
Right.
And Brett Favre goes up and introduces himself, says, "Hi, I'm Brett Favre." And Percy's going, "Yeah, no kidding."
Well, he had wonderful things to say about Favre.
Oh, he did.
The way he has really taken him under his wing to try and get him up to speed in a hurry as a rookie. That's a first down carry for Adrian Peterson. First down, Chester Taylor replaces Peterson. He carries a couple of tacklers down to the Cleveland 40-yard line, a gain of close to 5 on first down.
Yeah, I think Favre's going to go vertical at one point. This game's beginning to get the feel of Minnesota saying, okay, we're going to take this thing over. We're going to pound away at you. Brett Favre's going to see more single high man defense than he's seen in his lifetime because of Adrian Peterson. He's going to have to take a vertical shot at some point here.
And he's got Bernard Berrien down at the bottom of your screen.
He's seeing something here. He's got a flat defense. He may see the matchups he likes.
They're going to give it to Taylor.
We'll give it to Chester Taylor off the right side for 10 yards.
They're really starting now to pound and pound and pound some more on this Cleveland defense, which has been quite stout throughout the afternoon. But now down to the 3-minute mark in the third quarter. And these are the kind of drives that can really wear down a defense.
And that's exactly what Brad Childress and Darrell Bevel want to do right now. And that's what I was referring to. They're going to keep committing people to the box. They're going to give them an opportunity for a shot down the field. But if they can keep running at this effectively, Brad Childress would love to continue to do that.
10th play of the drive. And this is Adrian Peterson into the open field.
Wow, look at that.
Breaks a tackle down to the 14-yard line.
Abram Elam, you know, reminiscent of Barry Sanders. You play a Peterson like this, you sit up night fearful that you're going to look silly in the open field. This is just a great, look at him stick his foot in the sand and just accelerate out of that cut, leaving Elam in the dust. This is what makes Adrian Peterson the premier back in the National Football League. I'm not sure a fresh Adrian Peterson doesn't stay up.
Taylor on first down, coming up to make the stop, Eric Barton. That'll be the loss of 2.
You know, the stop and go, and the great backs, it's not just that they have speed and power, but its ability from a dead stop to cut, come out of it with speed. Now watch the cut. Normally that would slow you down, but Adrian Peterson is accelerating out of a cut like that. He's special.
51 rushing yards on 10 carries in this quarter alone for Peterson, after he had 1 rushing yard in the entire second quarter. Favre with protection and throws a bullet down to the 5-yard line. It's caught by Harvin, and it's first and goal. No, he's a yard short. I beg your pardon. Needed to get just inside the 4 for a first down.
Look at the focus of Percy Harvin. Now that's 2 plays. We talked about the big play earlier in the drive. Don't have that shot for you. But there again, great body presence, great awareness to settle in a hole. Many times a rookie will run past that. Brett Favre's just loving having Percy Harvin on his side.
4 receiver set. Favre caught. Harvin extends. Touchdown. The first touchdown in the career of Percy Harvin. And he will never forget it, because it's thrown by the Hall of Famer, the future Hall of Famer, Brett Favre, who's the first one to get down there and give him a big hug.
Yeah, look at the smile on his face. Brett Favre knows what he has in Percy Harvin. And this isn't real complex, just simple as a screwdriver. I'm going to get the ball in Percy Harvin's hands as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to darn near beat him down into the end zone to jump on top of him and show him how happy I am for him.
Harvin becomes the 51st different player to catch a touchdown pass from Brett Favre in his career. When Percy Harvin was born in 1988, he was 3 years old when Brett Favre was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in 1991. And here they are, one on the receiving end of a touchdown from the ladder. That's just amazing. Joshua Cribbs out to the 31. Well, Coach Brian Billick, we said before the game ever got started, this one had a chance to come back eventually to the quarterbacks. Brett Favre has been extremely efficient. And now Brady Quinn with his team down 24-13, a minute to play in the third quarter.
And it's going to fall on his shoulders, kind of like we knew it would at the open.
Robert Royal for a first down out to the 30-yard line on a first down catch.
Brought Robert Royal in from Buffalo to replace Kellen Winslow Jr. Now that's a tall order. This guy's the most he's caught in his career in a given year is like 25, 30 passes in a year to replace an 80-catch guy like Kellen Winslow Jr.
Quinn. And the catch is made first today by Mike Furry. And that perhaps could be our final play here in the third quarter unless Quinn's going to try and get him. They're in the hurry-up mode. First time today they've gone to that hurry-up offense. And that's Eric Mangini's call as to when to do it. They hand it off to Lewis, who's to the 35-yard line, and that will be the final play of the third quarter. Big third down to start this fourth quarter for Brady Quinn and the Cleveland offense, trailing 24-13. Cleveland has still not scored a touchdown on offense since November the 17th of last season. Flags will whistle this one dead. The question is it against Ray Edwards or Robert Royal?
I think you got the defensive lineman to jump here, going to make it a third and real short.
Encroachment, number 93 defense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
Well, they got the wrong number there. It was 91. And the penalty will give Cleveland a first down.
That didn't look like that. Looked like they were going to leave him in a third and short. So we'll see if they continue here, Tom, as we saw earlier before the break, that are they going to kick into a no huddle mode here after this first play? Do they feel like they've got to get into that mode now with a 2-score separation?
When a dangerous throw and then caught after it was tipped by Braylon Edwards, and that's a gain of 11 for a first down. So Lady Luck on the side of Cleveland there. And they are in the hurry-up mode, and as we mentioned, Eric Mangini said that's his call.
Yeah, Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, they worked on this package on Friday, but it's Eric Mangini that will put them into this mode when he senses the pace of the game based on what's happening defensively, offensively, that they need to make something happen special.
Blitz coming, and the throw almost batted and caught by a Brown again. 2nd and 10. Many believing Philadelphia is the team to beat in the NFC this season after reaching the championship game a year ago. Losing, of course, to Arizona. That's a team not getting a lot of preseason pub coming off their first ever trip to the Super Bowl. And most of the pieces back in place.
I think they're waiting to see if they can back it up. They have not yet in their history backed it up with 2 good years in a row, and that's what people are waiting for. They continue in the no huddle mode. We'll see how far down in the red zone they want to take this.
Well, the hard count right there got the rookie Davis to move.
False start, number 28 offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So 3rd and 8.
And Eric Mangini showing some faith not only in his young quarterback, but his rookie center that we talked about in the open. Alex Mack, a first-round draft choice rookie from California, to run a no-huddle offense with 2 young players like that is ambitious at least.
We'll call it 3rd and 13. We need to get to the 38-yard line. Quinn steps up and overthrows the intended target, Joshua Cribbs. So the punt team sent on the field. Mediu Williams applying the pressure to Quinn.
Well, they're having to bring some pressure, uncharacteristic of Minnesota. They're having some tough time getting pressure on the quarterback from just Jared Allen and obviously on the outside, and with Ray Edwards, where typically that's enough, but they have to bring secondary people and corners and safeties now to get pressure on Brady Quinn.
Zastadil. This punt, a fair catch signaled by Raynaud. 13:15 to play here at Cleveland Brown Stadium along the banks of Lake Erie in Cleveland, Ohio. Brett Favre and the Vikings with a 24-13 lead, and Adrian Peterson just sticks his head down and got a big block from Jeff Dugan and rammed hard into Eric Wright. Favre to throw on first down. They set up a screen. It's dropped by Taylor. You know, you look at the whole Favre situation, and I know a lot of people were sick and tired of hearing about it. But, you know, I got the feeling in our visit with him last night, he was really stung by the really one or two players of the New York Jets that made the comment in a negative way about what kind of teammate he was. You look back over a 19-year career, I can't think of 5 guys that have had anything bad to say about Brett Favre as a teammate. Now, whether or not you like his decision to play for the Vikings, if you're a Packer fan for many, many years, you know, the indecision of saying one day you're ready to retire, the next day you're not. You know, that's Brett Favre's decision as to whether or not he wants to play. He's certainly entitled to change his mind, but he unquestionably knows by coming back what the expectations are for this Viking team, what they are for him, and the pressure that comes along with.
No question about it. And I think that was what happened in New York. Some of the players speaking out, maybe deflecting the responsibility. That was a team-wide failure in the second half. You get everybody that's ever played with Brett Favre in a room at one time, I bet you can't find 5 people that said, hey, I didn't love this guy as a teammate.
He's a hard guy not to like.
Absolutely.
Lots of time, and dropped by Klein Saucer. So the Vikings will punt it away. A couple of drops on that drive. One by Taylor, the other by Klein Saucer. Favre has hit his 13 of 20, 113 yards and a touchdown.
And those that question, would Brett Favre be willing to manage a game? There's an example right there. Took a look downfield, nothing was there. Don't need to force it. We're up by 2 scores. I'll just drop the ball off.
Louis the punt, and here comes Cribbs. He broke one for a touchdown early in the game, and he's bottled up this time at the 25. Get a look at the offensive leaders for the Browns. Quinn, Lewis, Royal, but quiet offensively again for Cleveland. Again, which did not score an offensive touchdown in its final 6 games of the year last season. None here today. Short game. And what a hit delivered by Antoine Winfield, and down is Davis, a rookie. He was involved in a 1-car collision. Nothing major, but lost control of his car and had an accident on the way to practice yesterday just before 8 o'clock in the morning. They took him in for an examination. Everything cleared out. He was fine. Obviously, he's on the field today. But he just took another collision, this one from Antoine Winfield.
It was a lot bigger hit than the one he was in his car, probably. He's probably feeling this a lot more than that one yesterday morning.
You know, to hear the people talk, and you talk about Antoine Winfield, you touched on it earlier. I mean, he's the smallest guy on the Minnesota defense, and perhaps instills more fear than any player on the Minnesota defense. Short pickup on 2nd down.
False start. Number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
First time we've called Joe Thomas's name all day today, and that's a good thing for him. He has really handled Jared Allen quite well here today so far. 7. Low snap. Quinn steps up and delivers a strike to Furry, and that'll be a first down out to the 40-yard line.
You know, and they're still in this no huddle mode, and this is great. I mean, the clock is dictating you got about a 3-possession game left. But for Brady Quinn, puts a lot of pressure on his shoulders now, because this is where typically a turnover can happen.
Pocket collapsing around Quinn, and he somehow escapes the trouble. And as he goes to throw it, he fumbles the football. It looked like he covered it up, or did he? Minnesota saying it has the ball.
We're calling Minnesota's ball. We'll see if it is here in another 20 seconds, or if it changes possessions.
I think the Browns are conceding it will change hands, because many of their players on their way to the sideline. It is Minnesota football.
And that's what I was alluding to, that in this style of play, there's just a lot of moving parts to it. Here, Brady Quinn going to the left, very difficult for a quarterback. Turn your shoulders. Obviously didn't have the grip he needed on it as he cocked his shoulders to make the throw. And here you are with Minnesota on a short field. Minnesota's going to try to get the ball off quick in case somebody wants to challenge it. I don't know quite what they would challenge, but they ran right on the field. They're ready, you can see, to get a snap in quick.
And they do get the snap off, and Peterson spins out of trouble and turns it into a 3-yard gain. Only one quarterback in NFL history, that was Warren Moon with Seattle, has made the Pro Bowl at the age of 40 or older. Favre will be 40 years old in less than a month. Never has a quarterback started a playoff game at 40 years of age. And Favre was just the 17th guy to ever try to play quarterback beyond the age of 40. Peterson into the secondary and tiptoes out of bounds. They'll spot it at the 12-yard line.
And this is how you end up leading the league in rushing. Yeah, this is where everybody talks about touches and how many times you should run in a game. When you've got control of the game, you're under 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, you're up by 2 scores. Now you just keep pounding and pounding and pounding away. Be shocked if you saw Brett Favre make any kind of foolish move here trying to get the ball down the field.
23 rushes, 114 yards now for Peterson, the 17th career 100 rushing game in his career, which is of course 2 years in 1 game. Picks up a couple of yards there. And for the Cleveland Browns, we brought up last season, they had the 3rd worst defense in the NFL against the run. When you go back to 2007, they've allowed the most 100-yard rushers among all teams in the NFL.
Well, proverb in the NFL today: be good against the run and be able to run the ball, and they were neither last year.
Favre lost his footing and then is sacked all the way back at the 19.
And wasn't going to take a chance. This is what we're talking about. A different Brett Favre, a different situation. Maybe I try to step out of it, step to the side, throw up a jump ball, see if one of my guys can come down with it. Why? Why bother here? Don't take the chance. We're in control of the game. This is the managing of the game that we're talking about, that some people don't think Brett Favre is willing to do, but obviously showed there. He's got the idea of what it's going to take for Minnesota to continue to stay on a winning way.
Well, this protection of the quarterback certainly needs to improve. If there's one chink in the armor in this game, it's been that.
And this is a good offensive line. There again, we talked about John Sullivan on the inside, kind of new to the mix. Phil Lodehold, we haven't talked about their their second-round draft choice out of Oklahoma, but your starting right tackle is a rookie. Now you can be good on your offensive line. You're only good as the weakest link, so to speak. Not that Phil Lodehold is a weak link, but kind of a new center, a right tackle. This is something that Minnesota is going to have to make sure they're very conscious of as they go down the way.
37-yard field goal try for Ryan Longwell, and that one is good. We asked Brad Childress how many times he spoke with Brett Favre after Favre became available. leaving the New York Jets. Said he talked to him 10, 12 times over the course of the ensuing months. Joshua Cribbs still on his feet and tackled at the 25-yard line. Cleveland with a football. Under 7 minutes to go in this 2009 season opener. The Vikings with a 27-13 lead over the Browns. Play blown dead before it ever got started. This was the kind of thing that Eric Mangini did not want to see.
Number 78, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that's the tough thing about when you run the no huddle in this situation. You know, those defensive ends, this is where they get their sack money. This is where their contract money comes into. They get all those sacks. It's tough on the offensive lineman wanting to get a jump. But you're exactly right. Eric Mangini, regardless of the outcome of the game, wants to finish strong and focused.
Well, clearly this offense has got to be a concern. Having not scored, well, now in what is about to be extended, unless they can get it together in a hurry, into a 7th consecutive game. Boy, those are two of the all-time greats. You brought up earlier, you know, the lore and the history of this Browns organization. The great Paul Warfield on the left, on the right, of course, Jim Brown. Both were invited in by the ownership and by Eric Mangini to speak to the Browns team, both their rookies and the veterans. Here's Braylon Edwards. And stretches out and nearly made a great catch.
How great is that, though? You're a Cleveland Brown, whether you're old, young, new, or not. A fan of this game, a historian of this game, Paul Warfield and Jim Brown. How great is that? And Eric Mangini has a history with. He started out as a ball boy and moved up through administration and was a coach here. And you know what a great thing to tap into the great history of these Cleveland Browns.
3rd down and 15. Quinn in trouble. Throws on the run, caught but short of the first down by Cribbs. Out to the 29, and they'll punt it away.
Well, you hear a little bit of the dissatisfaction here. You can see what I was alluding to. Eric Mangini, ball boy, then an intern, kind of upgraded to an offensive assistant, and now the head coach in 2009.
And all of that under the direction of Bill Belichick, who was coaching here while the Browns were still here before leaving for Baltimore, then came back into existence in 1999. Raynaud brings out the punt to the 37-yard line. And now with 6:11 left to go, we take a look at our game summary. Favre, this is the kind of game that we suspect he will be asked to play a lot of this year. Throw the ball 20, 25 times, get big chunks of yards in this great running game. Offensively,
no question,
very quiet for Cleveland again. Peterson, 91 rushing yards here in the second half. And he'll add to that total. Breaking into the open field. And he shoves away one, shoves away another, and blasts his way into the end zone. A spectacular run by the most spectacular runner in the NFL, Adrian Peterson.
Wow, this guy is special. And the great Jim Brown we just talked about. When you see a guy like this crank off a 64-yard touchdown run that leads to the great Jim Brown. And taking nothing away from Adrian Peterson here, this is a phenomenal run. Speed, acceleration, now strength. Watch this, he's just going to push himself right by Eric Wright, right by, making his way into the end zone. But like we also said, now this is what's going to drive Eric Mangini nuts. That kind of poor tackling, that's the type of thing he's got to overcome with this team that's really got to have a change of culture right now.
So that 64-yard run gives Peterson 180 rushing yards. He has gone by Tommy Mason for 7th place on the Vikings all-time rushing list in 2 years in a game.
Look at the strength, just pushing him right by, then being able to pull the leg and the arm away, and the acceleration then. Boy, this guy's spectacular.
Peterson, the first-round pick by the Vikings in '07, grew up in Palestine, Texas. And he was great from day one at Oklahoma. His junior year that turned out to be his final year, he's hurt a lot.
Right, and that was
so
the
there
big
were
question.
questions about it.
That was the big question, and the teams that passed on him, you know, they'll get ripped now for how did you pass up Adrian Peterson, but the injury was a legitimate one, and at that point you really do have to listen to your medical people that are going to question how severe is it, how long is this guy going to play. There's a whole bunch of teams right now wishing that it may be taking that chance.
Unbelievable vision, acceleration, power, speed, the whole package.
It's a complete package, the complete package. And you know what? Still getting better. That's the amazing thing. And we talked about earlier in the game, in the passing game, getting him more involved in the passing game, which Brett Favre will do.
Cribb's going to bring it out 5 yards from his own end zone. And he takes a couple of heavy hits. Flags are down on the field at the 18-yard line.
This is the finish we're talking about by Cleveland now. Penalties, poor tackling, turnover. This is the kind of thing Eric Mangini was talking about, finishing the game strong, feeling good about yourself, win or lose.
There is no foul for an illegal low block as the player was tripped in to the other player. 1st and 10, Cleveland.
But there's some learning left to do here for Brady Quinn now. How's he going to handle this situation? Can you muster a drive? They're going to hear about that offense not scoring a touchdown since forever, since Pluto was a pup. And until they do, they're going to continue to hear it.
I tell you, I don't know what was in that IV at halftime they gave Adrian Peterson. But whatever it is, when we have halftime next week in San Francisco, bring some of that my way. Sacked is Quinn. In the first half, Peterson had 9 carries for 25 yards. He had 1 rushing yard in the second quarter. Here in the second half, 16 carries for 155 yards.
And that's what the great backs do. They wear you down in that 3rd and 4th quarter.
This guy right here's looked good today, Jamal Lewis.
He has, and Jamal staying healthy. That was going to be the question last year because Jamal really had a tough time putting back-to-back years together. Healthy. He was healthy that last year. That wasn't the issue for the Cleveland Browns. Him staying healthy this year for them to try to keep a balanced package is going to be a big part of whatever they do going forward.
Quinn across the middle, dropped by Royal. Well, Adrian Peterson 3 touchdowns today of his 25 carries. Brady Quinn hunted down by Jamie Mitchell, who delivered the hit as Quinn was just ready to cut it loose.
And this is a test for the Cleveland fans. We talked about it in the open as well. This is in 11 years since they've been back to Cleveland. Fourth new coach, new approach. You know, and they're asking a lot of the fans that trust us this time. We're going to get it right. And that's part of what Eric Mangini is going to have to deal with.
Quinn had forever to throw it, and then throws incomplete to Furry. Ryan Robinson applying pressure, and 4th down, the Browns are going to go ahead and go for it.
Yeah, trying to salvage something here. It's all a learning curve for Brady Quinn. We got to remind ourselves that even though Brady Quinn is in his 3rd year, he has not played a lot, and every snap is a learning experience.
Quinn steps up right through the hands of Royal. That looked like a pretty good throw.
Yeah, Robert Royal, like we said, in to replace Kellen Winslow Jr., and that ain't going to get it done.
Tavares Jackson, who opened the season as a starter, closed the season as a starter last year, and thought he would be the starter regularly this year. takes over for Brett Favre with less than 5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter.
And you know something, the more they can do this, if a game gets under control, everybody's talking about, can Brett Favre hold up at 40 years old late into the season? Well, this is a better team than the New York Jet team of last year. And they're certainly going to weather it better. But the more you can do this type of thing, get Tavares in when the game is clearly under control, it will yield a benefit in November and December.
Well, you know, Brett Favre has said himself, you know, he's even questioned at times how much he will be able to play this year. And by no means, when we asked him to, you know, kind of qualify that a little bit, he said, look, he said, I'm planning on starting every single game this year. But the point is, I don't have a crystal ball. Just like I didn't know before I had the biceps tendon surgery, I didn't know how that was going to respond. So that delayed whether or not I was going to make a decision to come back. I don't know how a 40-year-old body is going to hold up because I've never been in a 40-year-old body in week 13.
And that's exactly with older players. That's always the question, no matter what their regiment, no matter what kind of condition they're in, their diet, how they take care of themselves. It's new territory. A little surprised that they're throwing the ball here.
.312 to go. Louis as that one bounced into the end zone.
Like to have executed that just a little bit better.
Well, I mean, you're working more now than you did as the head coach of the Ravens.
I know, but it doesn't pay as well.
That's a slide by Quinn. Close to a first down out to the 31-yard line.
But you know what? I'm loving it. Just the ability, and I really think, and I know the fans out there, there's a lot of great things about this game. But the ability sometimes just to talk ball. I know there's a lot of things on and off the field and personalities. It's all good. But just talk X's and O's for the hardcore fan.
Well, there are a lot of them, coast to coast and really all over the globe. Now that the National Football League season has started.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's exciting to be back into the season. A lot of things going on. A lot of teams are going to be in the hunt for this thing. And we're looking at one of them right here, the Minnesota Vikings.
You know, you just never get the feeling outside of the big second half by Peterson that this Minnesota offense really ever clicked it into gear. Yet you look up on the scoreboard, they got 34 points. I mean, am I reaching there? I've never felt like they ever really got the whole thing rolling here today.
The one thing that was missing, we had some big plays, obviously the big run by Adrian Peterson, but the big plays down the field in the passing game were primarily penalties. Now, the Minnesota Vikings were 6th in the league last year in explosive plays. They were pretty good. But I know they're wanting to build on that with Brett Favre, taking his shots just at the right time. We really didn't have that short of the penalties in this game down the field, and you're going to start to see it with the Minnesota Vikings.
Everybody coming after Quinn, who gets it away to Anderson, or Lewis, I beg your pardon. And he's to the 42-yard line. We've reached a 2-minute warning. We have 1:55 to play in Cleveland. Quinn across the middle, caught by Furry. Down to the Minnesota 37-yard line. Clock continues to run. Cleveland does have 3 timeouts left, and even though they're down 34-13, they might use them to try and get in the end zone. Blitz coming. They lay it off to Furry again, and he's to the 25 for a first down.
You know, people might criticize that, say it's garbage, it's statistics, it's garbage. You know what? They're going to hear about that scoring drought until they score, and that wears you out. I don't care what you say. They've somehow, boy, they would love to come away with a score here.
Quinn across the middle to Cribbs. And there's Winfield again. Every time Antoine Winfield hits somebody, they're slow to get up. Man, does he hit.
There's a flag on the play here. Let's see what happens with this.
They got plays coming back.
But what you were talking about, Tom, we'll wait on the call here. And that was we made that point earlier. I can't think of another secondary guy. Bob Sanders in Indianapolis, but that's a safety. For a corner, I was just stunned by that comment and the observation that that a corner, particularly that, forget his size, forget that and they say 5'9", he's probably more like 5'7", that a corner sets the physical tone for your defense. That's just amazing to me.
Quinn steps up, throws, open receiver, and it's caught by the rookie Muhammad Massaquoi, second-round pick out of Georgia. You know, Winfield, we talked about, grew up down the road in Akron, Ohio, went to Akron Garfield High School. He played at Ohio State, and in his 10th year in the league, he finally went to the Pro Bowl.
And everybody was thrilled. Here you see Adrian Peterson. Now you're going to look at these numbers that we're about to put up here, and anytime, I don't care under what context, your name is said in the same breath as Jim Brown, you done pretty good, young man.
Take a look at those numbers.
And we're talking about Jim Brown, arguably for some the greatest running back in the history of this game. Jim Brown is obviously an icon, and here's the master. And he had high praise for Adrian Peterson. Stirred things up a little bit with LaDainian Tomlinson talking about how he looked at Adrian Peterson in that same class.
Down goes Quinn back at the 25-yard line. Ray Edwards there to meet him. You know, we had a chance the other day to visit with Jim Brown for about an hour and a half. 3 or 4 of us standing around. The perception of Jim Brown in some circles, and certainly for me, was so unbelievably different than the man I spoke to. There's a catch made by Royal. Does he get in the end zone? Yes. For the first time since the 4th quarter of Week 10 last season in Buffalo, the Cleveland Browns offense has scored a touchdown. Good for them.
Yes, and again, someone will put an asterisk on it and say, well, yeah, but it was in garbage time. But these are the little things you knock down, these little barriers to changing the culture that Eric Mangini, here you see Brian Dable congratulating Brady Quinn, because they know this is one of those little walls that you break down in building a new culture for a team.
416 offensive plays in between touchdowns on offense.
Just 4 verticals. Nice job, Robert Royal. Hasn't had a great game necessarily. Brady Quinn dropping the ball into a very difficult spot, right over the top of the defender. Robert Royal, give him credit, came up with the catch and the touchdown. Again, this is big. Big, wrong term. This is significant for them. Doesn't feel that way right now, but you're constantly knocking down these barriers to success. That's a little one that Eric Mangini's not feeling it right now. But maybe one less thing that you got to hear and deal with going down to take on the next barrier to keep you from being successful.
All right, we got 28 seconds left. Let's start with Eric Mangini and go to the film, and he'll do all that tonight. Your observation here watching this game today, you can walk away on a positive 1 or 2 things, and on a negative 2 things that better get straight.
Well, they did play hard. Opening half, let's see what they do with this onside here. The way they started their game, their ability to stay with the run was very impressive. I thought for the most part protection. Joe Thomas owned, other than late garbage sacks at the end, owned Jared Allen. That's pretty good. So, and I think their young center, Alex Mack, held up. Negatives there again, the inability to make the big play down the field and to consistently, that's a pretty good defense, don't get me wrong, but they're going to have to come up with those big plays, because even if you get the running game cranked up, this is a game of big plays now, and that's going to have to come.
Our game today produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Rich Dewey. Our associate director Neil Gallo, our broadcast associate Bill Cullen, the technical producer from right here in Cleveland, Ohio, in St. Ignatius High School is Bob Muller. Studio produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown. Executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorn and David Hill. And thanks up in the booth to Tom Barbary, our statistician, our spotter Scott Snyder.